Jimmy Garoppolo. There was some momentum that he was gonna, take this team to the Super Bowl, maybe come back next year. Maybe he was boosting his trade value. I was a little skeptical, and then he did this on national television. This performance is going to stick in people's minds for a while, at least fans. Do you think he tanked his trade value with this stinker on national television?
No.
Why?
He did not. Absolutely did not. I think this idea that he had somehow increased his trade value and people weren't aware of who he was because he had a strong stretch of football is an absolute farce in my opinion. In 2019, he had a same strong stretch of football and people still did not look at him as anything more than a solid starting quarterback. And I think you and I were really, really on this wave no matter what. In 2021, no matter how he was playing, that this is who he is.
Yeah.
You get a couple of good games from Garoppolo.
Is he in contention for the Pro Bowl? I don't think so. Not that that's
absolutely not
the end all be all, but like he's not really looked at as a upper echelon player.
No, he's a solid starter. That's what he is. And why is he a solid starter? Because he can have a couple drives where he looks very good, and he can have a couple drives where he looks virtually unplayable. And that's why the Niners traded up for the quarterback that they did. That's why the long-term plans do not seem to include Jimmy Garoppolo, in spite of the fact that he has a 30-14 or whatever starting record with the 49ers, and he has all of these accolades to his name, 2-to-1 touchdown ratio, in spite of the second in EPA for a play and all these statistics. There's a reason that the Niners still made this trade. It did not have to do with only injury. Injury was maybe a sliver, a 10-20% part of it. They did it because this is the volatile, inconsistent play that they continue to get from Jimmy Garoppolo. And I don't think he tanked his trade value at all, because I don't think teams did you change your opinion of him, Grant? I mean, prior to this game, he had 18 touchdowns and 9 interceptions. And, I had people on my Twitter mentions telling me that, they're glad they didn't trade for Matthew Stafford because this is a great plan, blah, 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 because Stafford has stunk it up. And I'm just thinking in my head, like, a guy with 35 touchdowns and 10 interceptions entering this week is stinking it up, and a guy with 18 touchdowns and 8 interceptions heading into this week with 1,500 less passing yards is somehow, lighting it up. This is who he's been his entire career. He's the same exact player. I don't think that him getting hot and playing, good football for an extended period of time changed anybody's opinion of it, because a lot of it was largely predicated on how the scheme was working and his supporting cast. And we've seen that, again, he is not a backup quarterback. He, to me, is better than a Jared Goff. He's much better than a Nick Mullins and a CJ Beathard, who are borderline backup quarterbacks. He's a starting quarterback. So, yes, he's going to put up better numbers than those guys. But when you compare him to other starting quarterbacks, the throws he's asked to make, the reads he's asked to make, the things he's asked to do, it's all pretty rudimentary compared to those guys. And that's why I don't think his trade value changed at all.
And I think what hurts it a lot is the success of guys like Jalen Hurts and Davis Mills. I mean, if you're a team looking for a quarterback and you see what the Texans are doing right now and what the Patriots are doing right now, wouldn't you say, like, instead of trading a pick for a 30-year-old quarterback who's still expensive and has injury baggage, why don't we just draft a quarterback? Because it seems like while we may not get a great one, we probably could get a good one, maybe not even in round 1. And it's not like we're getting a great quarterback with Jimmy G anyway. It just seems like you don't have to make that trade. Right. You can use other ways to get good quarterbacks.
Right. And along with the trade, right, you're giving up a pick, but then you get into price and the fact that he's 30 years old. And I personally think he's maxed out his ceiling. I know people keep saying he's only started 40 games. He's only started 50 games. He might get better. I don't think we've seen him improve pretty much at all since what he was in 2017. This is kind of who he is. He can occasionally make some wow throws over the middle. He can throw without setting his feet. He has a ridiculously quick release, but his timing can be a little bit off at times. His decision-making can be off a lot of times. His accuracy is okay, but his precision is very inconsistent. A lot of balls high, a lot of balls low. And so because of that, to me, this is exactly who he is. And you can look like, I mean, I know a lot of people don't want to draft these kinds of quarterbacks, but to me, based on his play this year, him, Mac Jones, and Tua are all in the same exact conversation. And those two guys were first-round picks, and he's a 30-year-old starter. But to me, the big difference is Mac Jones and Tua still have room to improve. Like, them being at the same level of Jimmy Garoppolo year 1 and year 2 doesn't mean that by year 7, like Jimmy Garoppolo, they're going to be at Jimmy Garoppolo's level. They can get better. And 2, they're far cheaper for playing the same exact level. While Garoppolo, is making $25 million at that level. And I hate to make it a conversation about money because you don't want to count somebody else's pockets or
Right.
all credit to JImmy Garoppolo for making the money that he makes.
No
The
doubt.
Niners are paying him that.
Oh,
But
yeah.
value is a real question mark in a salary cap league. And
Yeah.
when you're paying a quarterback $25 million, but you're only getting, $10 to $12 million of production, it
Yeah.
becomes a real question mark.
Yep. Well put. Grant wearing those dark colors like he's at a Niners funeral. Throw the season in the coffin. I didn't mean to.
Y'all some negative Nellies, man.
Yeah. Buck up, guys. They're still 8-7. So head-to-head is out with the
Yeah.
Eagles only if it's three-way tie. That's
So
the thing.
it's a three-way tie. So
If it's
let's say the Saints finish 10-7, the Niners finish 9-8, Eagles finish 9-8, and Minnesota finishes 8-9. Then the head-to-head would be in play.
Yes, good call. Very tricky. Does Trey have confidence in team the same as Mahomes did with Alex as his mentor? Is it even possible for him to have a storybook ending with Kyle? Well, there's a lot of pressure on Trey. I couldn't answer that question, but wow, there's a lot of pressure on Trey.
Yeah, it's possible, but let's not put Mahomes' expectation on a guy
Right.
when Mahomes had a top 10 statistical season of all time his first year of starting. He threw 50 touchdowns and threw for 5,000 yards. That's not a fair expectation for anybody in their first year of starting, no matter how good they are. I mean, I've seen the Mount Rushmore of people you've seen list been going out on 49ers Twitter at all. I'd say right now, Patrick Mahomes is in my Mount Rushmore of quarterbacks I've seen. I know I'm pretty young, so I missed out on the Elways, the Montanas, the Steve Youngs, all of that. But to me, Patrick Mahomes is already one of the four best quarterbacks I've ever seen with Manning, Rodgers, and Brady.
Yeah. Jamaro Thomas says Jimmy G did this to us. We can go 9-8 and not make it.
Yeah.
I mean, Jimmy Garoppolo didn't force himself into the field, though. That was an organizational decision. But it was the domino that led to a lot of this. Who would you prefer to have start for the Niners, Jimmy G or Alex Smith?
I think that's an interesting conversation. You want to touch on it real quick?
Yeah, in terms of game managers at their best.
Well, to me, I prefer Alex Smith, and I think Garoppolo has a better in-game upside than Alex Smith. I think he can make plays in games that Alex Smith simply won't make because at times he's too conservative and he just won't make throws. While Garoppolo is a little more gutsy and he will make throws. He will stand in the pocket on 3rd and 8 and take a hit and flick a ball, without his feet set over the middle in a tight window and put it on somebody and convert a third down. But the reason I would rather have Alex Smith is week in, week out, play in, play out. I know who Alex Smith is. I know he's smart. I know he's going to make good decisions. I know he's athletic, and I know exactly how he's going to play. And the issue with Garoppolo, to me, even though the upside is much better in a play-to-play setting than Alex Smith, you have this gigantic downside, and you don't know which Jimmy Garoppolo you're going to get play-to-play. Like you can get the Garoppolo, who throws a ball, 2 seconds before Debo breaks in a small hole over the middle of the field versus the Rams on a clutch 4th and 3. Like Alex Smith doesn't make that throw, but then Alex Smith certainly doesn't throw the 2 interceptions that he threw versus the Titans.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I just like for a game manager, I would rather have the lack of turnovers than the marginal third down efficiency improvement. And also, I want that mobility. I like that.
Yes.
Alex Smith at 30 was mobile.
Alex Smith was always mobile.
He could move. Yeah.
In fact, I just want a quarterback who's self-aware of exactly what his skill set is and who he is as a player. I don't think Garoppolo, even though he's in year 8, when people keep saying he can improve, blah, 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 I don't think he's self-aware of the exact style quarterback he is and how he's going to play.
He thinks he's Tom Brady. Or he plays like he thinks he is. Easy Tino says the team leaks. They're done with Jimmy. All of a sudden, he plays horrible. Really? Then the GM likes a tweet. Oops, while in church. Of course, he's tanking. Tanking.